Okay, our goal here today is to explain to you how the lactate curve works and how the body is able to take lactic acid and be able to clear it. But I want to explain it, give you a visual diagram first before we actually talk about why and how we use lactate testing here. Okay, so if we think about as we're going along our exercise and as we increase time and intensity, we will be building up lactic acid. It usually starts somewhere around maybe a 1.5 to 2.0. That's baseline even at rest. And then it can increase up. For some athletes, it can maybe only increase up to 6.0. Other athletes can be able to get it up to 11.0 or above, okay? Our goal is to be able to see how long we can go while that lactic acid builds up. So we have this line that lactic acid is going to be forming in our body as we go along on time and intensity. Along with that, our body also clears that lactic acid out. So this area between the two lines is actually what we're measuring and what we're looking for. We want to see where there's a point that the body has too much lactic acid in the body. And when we get to that 4.0 millimoles, that's where we can't sustain for a very long duration in that intensity. So if we think about that area between 1.5 and 4.0, okay, here, as we're going along, our body can maintain that amount. We're able to run, ride, swim at this level and be able to continue on at whatever intensity that we're at. But once we hit too high of intensity and we start building up and we have this area greater than 4.0 millimoles, then we can only go for a little bit longer. Our goal is to find that point, and that's the point that we should be racing under, is where we're able to still clear it enough and keep this buildup at a minimal amount. All right, our goal now is to just show you what the lactate testing actually entails. I'm going to be testing the resting lactate and just show you what actually the steps are so you understand what's involved with it. We always do a resting measurement before we go to be able to make sure that you actually have a lower amount of lactic acid in your system to be prepared for the test. Sometimes if you've done a hard workout too close to it, or if you've not eaten correctly or fasted correctly, then we would send you on your way if your resting lactic acid isn't low enough. Once we get done with that, then we would get you on the apparatus, either the bike or the treadmill or the rower, to be able to then test your lactic acid during exercise. So first we would clean the finger. So we use alcohol to make sure everything's clean. Prior to the test, we've asked the person to scrub the edges of their fingertips to make sure that we've gotten any debris or dirt off of there. We wipe it to make sure that it's nice and dry so the alcohol is off. Then we take a small finger prick with a disposable lancet. We test it on, or take it on the edge, so that way it's not as, there we go. We got a bubble there of blood. And then from there, we take that bubble and we put it into the meter. Good. Once the sample reads, we're all done. We move on to our next stage. Okay, so typically when we do lactate testing, we will start at a really low intensity, and then each 2 to 3 minutes, we're looking for a steady state heart rate. When we see that, we then test lactic acid and take that prick of the finger. There's 2 ways that we can do it. If the person is comfortable on the treadmill, we will have them put their hand on the side here and then hold their finger out. And then we would clean it and then take that prick here to be able to do that, okay? If they're not comfortable on the treadmill, then we would end up having them jump to the sides of the treadmill. So they would jump, put their hand out, we would clean it, take that prick, take it as quickly as possible, and then get them back on the treadmill.